the much easier option, at least technically, is to not simply to use the interest. The EU's been doing that for a year already, but to actually use the whole Russian central bank deposits.
Well, let's speak to Jamie Shea, former Nato Deputy Assistant Secretary General. Good evening to you.
And good evening to you too.
Jamie, thanks for being with us. Look, there is a bit of a tour at the moment for Volodymyr Zelensky. He'll be really out with his shopping list, out to plead for as much as he can, and why not? What does this tell us about France's commitment?
Well, I think it shows that France is getting back into the game, because France was an early supporter of Ukraine, as of course was the UK. But France has fallen behind some of the others recently. For example, Germany, with the new government of Friedrich Merz, has really stepped up by pledging this week 11.5 billion euros to Ukraine. And even little Norway, although obviously very oil and gas rich Norway, has pledged 9 billion. So I think it's very good for Zelensky on this tour to go to some countries like Greece. He was there over the weekend, France today, Spain tomorrow, which maybe have fallen behind a little bit, and get them back into the game too. And of course, the Rafale decision for France to supply 100 of these very modern jets to Ukraine is very significant. But frankly, they won't arrive for 10 years, when I trust, and you trust too, that the war will be over. And maybe it's more significant for Zelensky in the immediate term that he's got these commitments for the SAMP-T air defense system, which is probably one of the best in the business for co-production of drones from ammunition, because these things, of course, can get onto the battlefield a lot faster.
OK, and look, part of the bigger picture here, really, we should mention the EU's issues so far with trying to reach a consensus on the planned use of frozen Russian assets. This would be using interest from those assets as a war fund from which countries like the United States and the UK, hopefully, could be paid to provide weapons to Ukraine. What is the issue there? There are a couple of countries who oppose it. Do you think there'll be a consensus reached?
Well, the EU has certainly been working long and hard at it, and there's another EU summit coming up before Christmas, so hopefully before the end of the year there'll be a resolution. Because obviously, if France is going to give 100 Rafales to Ukraine, or Sweden has promised 150 Gripen fighter jets, somebody's got to pay for all of this. And a single Rafale fighter jet is worth 100 million euros. And Ukraine certainly doesn't have that kind of money. And France at the moment doesn't have that kind of money either to give these fighters away at a discount. So yes, you're absolutely right. The EU funding issue to allow Ukraine for the next 2 to 3 years to continue to dip into this European war chest and source the weapons that it needs to stay in the game, that's going to be absolutely critical. And there are 3 ways of doing this. One is EU member states have to pony up more money. Many of them, as I've said earlier, are not in a particularly good budgetary situation at the moment to do this. Number 2 is for the EU itself to go on to the market and raise more debt. But some countries like Germany are very hesitant about that. So the third one, which is what you pointed at, the much easier option, at least technically, is to not simply to use the interest. The EU's been doing that for a year already, but to actually use the whole Russian central bank deposits in Euroclear in Brussels, worth about 200 billion euros, to act as collateral for a very long-term loan, which would fund Ukraine's weapon systems. The problem is that Belgium has been resisting this because it's terrified that if Russia ever takes Belgium to court for illegal sort of confiscation of Russian assets, Belgium will be left paying the bill if a judgment should go in favor of Russia. So the EU really has to pony up and show solidarity with the Belgians that Belgium won't be left alone if that legal case arises. But yes, in terms of getting money quickly to Ukraine in the most pain-free way for the European states, those Russian central bank assets seem to be the way to go.
Jamie, thanks so much for being with us. Jamie Shea there, former Deputy Assistant Secretary General at NATO.
These are our head planners.
Sorry. Merci à tous. Alors,
Excellencies and generals, distinguished guests, thank you for honoring us with this visit and Ukraine. This morning we will give you an overview on our activities and we will update you on where we are in the planning process. Have an opportunity to interact with our planners and we'll deep dive into the regeneration line of effort with the Ukrainian teams. So starting with what we are, from an organizational point of view, so this operation headquarters has been activated only, we had some planning activities with a smaller group, but we've established here just 2 months ago. And so we have here 60 planners from across 16 nations.